Yeah, I mean, looks good for a continuation at least. It's starting to flatten out a bit on the 4 hour. Might be nearing a top. Starting to see a little bit of shorting in XRT, but not a ton. I still think there's some incentive to keep the market cap elevated here, or we're seeing more core, like we're seeing R2K ETFs picking up GME in case it becomes included. I feel like the meme series are going to run all week. FOMO's just starting. Probably, yeah. Upstart regained 2740 into close, but it really needed to regain 2750. That might have some movement in the pre-market tomorrow as well. I mean, closing higher over T plus 2 is pretty good. It still has range out to like $33. Fubo's still under a buck 50. Top still under 2. Ooh. Beyond cleared 8 in after hours. That's a good sign. Also, the tips are crossing, so might be go time there. That's pretty fun. Nice recovery today, though. So we'll see how that plays out. Go EV. I mean, the tips got a little closer early this morning, and then it got shorted. But, I mean, 6% higher. A little bit closer to that $3 break point. If it gets above 3, then it can pressure those 350 sold calls. And if it breaks out from there, it could run as high as 5. But not on Reg Show anymore. Unless today's movement put it back on Reg Show, but we'll find out tonight. I highly doubt it. It's a little too soon. Impossible meets CEOs on Bloomberg. You want some attention too. They want to dump shares all over the market at $16 is what they want. SPX stayed pretty flat today. The early morning bullish positioning got crushed under the weight of hawkish Fed presidents and higher than expected consumer inflation expectations. Basically, all the data came in bad. We lost the supportive positioning at 52, 30, and 35, which we needed to break to the upside of in order to get any kind of continuation. Tomorrow we have PPI first thing in the morning. Obviously, that's going to be pretty heavily straddled, but chances are it's either flat, still positive on the prior month, or a little hotter. If it is a little hotter, we could see a bigger drop in price, maybe down to like the 5200 level where we could kind of stagnate a bit, and then possibly a pump like end of day to prep us for CPI on Wednesday morning. Kind of the same deal over here. We got a rejection, double top on the high for futures on the 15-minute, and a rejection at the top of this big ass bear flag, which I have to go out to the 1 hour to show you. But still stagnating and not really breaking higher. We're definitely not getting a clean reversal off of this, which we still need to break 53.33 to the upside to realize. Still a lot of potential for a failure. Not a lot of support in this range, and a lot of sold puts to the downside. I would look to see if we break this lower uptrend, which I think is a little off. Hold on, maybe it's right. Yeah, we want to see that trend break, and then that opens up some range down to like 5200, maybe even like 5186. At which point, 5186, we could probably start confirming a reversal off of that. Although I would still like to see a drop below 5150 before anything really gets bearish. Commodities up 48 points today. A little bit of pressure there. I think right in line with rising inflation expectations. The dollar moderated up a bit, but still down against the euro and the pound, up against the yen and the yuan. I think China has their medium-term lending facility decision tomorrow night. That could have a pretty big impact, especially if they cut rates. Not only would that be very bullish for them, but it would also be kind of rough for the yuan. Tomorrow after PPI, we have Red Book, and we got a Powell speech at 10 o'clock. So I'm sure he's going to try to swoop in on the wings of a dove and save this market from tumbling again and letting yields rocket up. Correlation and the dispersion trade pulled back really hard today on the 1 month. Not so hard on the 3 month, but definitely a big turnaround. We see that in the the demand for vol. Some of that's probably hedging in advance of tomorrow's PPI print. But some of it's just the dispersion trade breaking down. There's a lot of weakness for the bulls here, and they're already leveraged, already over leveraged short vol, right? And as volatility demand rises, as it did today, especially after this morning, and we get closer to that positive yield on the forward convexity of vol, the more and more bond portfolio managers are going to be seeking that long vol in order to hedge their risk. Skew, so a little bit more tail risk falling off. Bull's getting a little bit more confidence, although I don't think that's going to last. This is Friday's print, not today's. We'll probably see tail risk hedging pick up again today, especially with the bump and vol. So this is probably going to go, like that. 76.69% of the S&P trading above its the 20-day moving average. And correlation between VIX and cash VIX, negative 44%. So another big jump week over week from last week's correlation. This is still very early in the week. This can change dramatically, but there's definitely still a lot of money getting pumped into shorting volatility and trying to ensure that we're stable in our current range. Fed fund futures priced in and out, like a couple points today, but not a lot of change there. CPI and PPI will have probably a major effect on this, and we could see Fed fund futures price out what little tiny bit of a second rate cut that we're currently pricing into 2024. So kind of back to where we were beginning of May, just under one rate cut for the remainder of the year. Technically, today is actually really, really bearish. I think our high for the day is actually a little bit lower than Friday's high, and the rejection off of that top actually sets us up for a little bit of a bear trap here. We would still want to see a failure of 51.89 and 51.66 on the daily. But if we go out, well, I don't even think we need to go out to the weekly. There's still a big fat gap here, down at like 5100, 5073. And I think on the weekly we have one at, 5142, 5127, 5128. There's a big gap on the weekly. This rejection still leaves us inside on the monthly. We have not broken a newer high since March. And a failure of the long-term trend here at like 5150 would revert this bounce and confirm that it is simply a bear rally and not a bullish reversal. Yeah, a little bit of a bear trap on the daily. Not confirmed yet. It would still need to lose a little bit of ground, but a little bit of one. 51.89 kind of starts to lock it in, but really we want to see the long-term trend lost, or the 50-30, right? The 50 MA and the 30 EMA. Like a loss there would be pretty substantial. Yeah. All right, and that's about it for today. I'll put out some data on some of the memes in the Discord channels tonight. GME, Upstart, Beyond. Just if I forget, remind me. But it'll probably be later tonight, around midnight or so. GoEV earnings today. I believe they're tomorrow night. Yeah, Tuesday night. Thank you guys so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. I'll see you all later. Peace.